Okay, hi guys. I am so excited for this episode. Oh my god. I will be honest, this is an episode that when we recorded it, I was so nervous for it to come out. Because I feel like I got really honest and I know that my guest was feeling the same way. And then I listened to it back and I was like, oh, this is such a cool conversation. So today you're gonna hear from my beautiful, brilliant friend, Mollie Farrell Snowden, who is an incredible somatic energy worker and healer and coach. And we talk a lot about our experience moving from um, sort of traditional, impressive, glitzy, important looking careers into careers as coaches and what that has been like for us. And you'll get to hear more from me about my coaching, which I realize I don't talk about a lot, and sort of what that experience has been like for me, how I work. You're going to hear a lot from her about how she works. We're both going to talk about why we think this work is so important. I'm really excited for you guys to hear this conversation. Real quickly, just on the update front, I am recording this my last weekend in Paris. And it's funny because what started off last year as like this trip and sort of this experience of like, I'm going to do something I've always wanted to do has now become like, I spend a lot of time here and I have a life here. And, I was with friends last night and my friend asked me how I felt about leaving. And I just started crying. And I'm sitting here trying to articulate how I'm feeling about um, feeling like I have my foot in a lot of worlds, which the reason I'm talking about it on this podcast is because it feels so aligned with sort of what the theme is of, I feel like I'm sort of rediscovering what my life looks like after things were really, my life looks really different. And and in many ways now I see what I want it to be. And in many ways I'm figuring it out in that, like, I think it has revealed itself to me. I'm someone who spends time in multiple cities. That's not something I would have known about myself. In fact, I like I'm like such a Cancer. Like I really like being at home and being in one place. I'm not someone who likes living out of a suitcase. Like this only works for me because I really settle in for so much time and build a life somewhere and create like routine and infrastructure and friendship. But I was with these people last night and it's like, we Molly says something on this episode of like we heal in front of compassionate witnesses. And oh, you know, there is now these group of women I know here who know me and know this part of my life in a very specific way. When it comes to having a group of single women who are thinking about their careers and their creativity and moving through things in new ways, it's like a very specific level of feeling like I have found people in similar life moments to me. And a lot has happened over the last 6 weeks here. And I've been contending and moving through a lot of different stuff. And I'm gonna really miss them. But yeah, I'm feeling really emotional about it. And I also feel really excited and like miss my friends and miss my life and miss my bed and can't wait to see all these humans I love. And it's this tricky thing of like life expands. My life feels so expansive and also yeah, it can feel really lonely in some ways too. And I'm still figuring out with you guys how to share honestly about like my own life and what I'm working on and what I'm moving through and what it's like for me to be sort of in a chapter that definitely feels like I'm building a lot of new things and discovering as I go. Yeah, and it's been so cool to like launch this thing on the road, like everything you guys have heard up to this point, like was recorded before anything launched. And then this episode with Mollie is recorded the day after launch or 2 days after launch in New York. And then I've been talking to you guys from Paris. And it also feels really cool to have this consistency of like, my life is also my life wherever I go. And I'm doing the same work wherever I go. And that feels really fucking cool. I will say that feels really awesome. So anyway, on this weird, wild journey of feeling late and becoming and who the hell we are, like just for today at 36, I am apparently quite tearful on my uncle's couch in Paris, getting ready to go home. And I'm also so excited for you guys to hear this conversation with Mollie. It really is one that I feel incredibly proud of and really excited to exist in the world. And she's just, God, the wisdom that comes through her is so powerful. So with that, enjoy the next episode of Late to the Party. Bye, guys. Okay, do you want to drop in?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. I want to just do like a little like physiological size to get, you know what those are?
Yeah.
Yeah, the like yeah.
Yeah, I
like
could use that this morning.
I like to do 3 of them.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. Inhaling through the nose. Final sip. Exhale. It's like a shot of espresso.
Oh, so good.
I feel so much better now.
Honestly, I needed that.
Yeah.
There's something about like, you know, it's so fun. Like I'm doing this enough that it feels less and less like a big deal to like get it all set up. And this is my first episode in person, like not in my house where I've like mobile setup. So it was like, you know, I needed that. It was really helpful to drop in after like being in the Uber and getting here and figuring out all the stuff, you know? It's such a, thank you.
I mean, if we wanted to take even more time with it, we'd do like a whole like, I am here, this is me, like embodiment thing. But I want to be here with you.
I want to be here with you.
Yeah.
It's so fun that we get to do this.
I know.
I'm
glad you're in New York. I'm glad you're spending more time in New York.
I know. This trip has felt like really cool because I think I've said for a long time that I want to have this life where I like just live and work in other places and not treat it like such a big deal. And I think every time I've come, it sort of has felt like still I'm like, oh, what should I do today? Or what restaurants do I want to go to? And it's this time, I think, because I've just been here while this was launching and like had a bunch of work to do, it really does feel like now, like my nights are like us going to get foot massages and dim sum, not like it's the best. Not like sitting at a fancy restaurant or going to like a big whatever. Like it doesn't feel like a vacation.
Not everything has to be a huge night out and super planned. Yeah, you're living like a local.
It's like I'm just home working most days. But this does feel right because it does feel like there should be a Jake Snowden in the back of whatever podcast.
And a vintage Jake Snowden behind you. This is like a private piece. Yeah. It's very cute. It's like dedicated to his grandmother's.
For anyone that's not watching it on video, in my house behind me is this like beautiful art piece that I purchased from your husband, who's an incredible artist, and has now like I didn't know when I hung it would become sort of like the focal point for the podcast, and so it's sort of fun that we're here and like still have Jake very present.
Yeah, there's a different type of artist relations in my life now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is a good segue.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's so funny to like introduce someone that I know and love, but I was thinking about it on the way over here. It's like we met at a very different time in both our lives. We met in 2020 working. You were overseeing like all artist relations and talent at Headcount, which is this incredible nonprofit that does voter registration at concerts and is like sort of the preeminent voter org in the music industry.
Yep.
And I was still doing philanthropic and political advising. And one of my clients was a big music management firm. And they had artists doing very, very large voter reg activations. And you and I hadn't met in person. We're just like all of a sudden like on the phone all the time. But it was very professional and very much about like this sect of our work. And then I remember when I started having these like weird inklings of, I think I want to coach. I think maybe I want to transition into a less traditional, less like maybe societally accepted business and arc of my career. I had been following you and watching you start to share that you had become a nutritional practitioner and you become a Reiki master, and then you left Headcount, and I was so like, you were such an expander for me, and like I was so inspired. And I remember reaching out being like, hey, like we're not really friends, but I'd like love to talk. And that was the beginning of now what has become like a very deep friendship. Yeah. And I also think of you as like a colleague. Like I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't have very many colleagues anymore. I don't have very many people that I feel like I relate to. Because our industry, I mean, we'll get into it. It's a funny. There's a lot of weird. It has a bad rep for a reason sometimes.
There's much to unpack.
There's much to unpack here, but yeah, I feel like you're like. It's so fun to have someone that like also like sees very similar in like what this type of work can be and how to express it and how to communicate it. And I was joking to myself in the car. I was like, how do I introduce Mollie when so much of our conversation lately has been like, what do we call ourselves?
That's like the daily practice.
Yeah.
Like,
so
who am I today?
So with that little bit of an arc, you're an incredible Reiki master. You are an intuitive healer. You are, I have gotten to work. You do incredible embodiment work. You help people like ground into their nervous systems, be in their bodies. Like, I adore you. And I'm going to let you now introduce yourself because I don't know how you want to introduce yourself.
Thank you. I have a lot to respond to with what you just said. You know, today I'm feeling like I'm a somatic coach and intuitive healer. And there's like a lot more beyond that. But the way that my work is currently presenting itself is those are sort of at the forefront. Lately, I am working with clients in like a modality that I have created that I call embodied energy work. That is a combination of somatic coaching and nervous system work and intuitive healing. So that includes Reiki, that includes some channeled energy work and all sorts of stuff that like a lot of my clients who are like very type A New Yorkers, like they don't really want to hear about all that. They just want to feel better. So it's always like towing the line of like, how much do I share about what's happening and how much do you just want to hear about like what the results are going to be for you? You know? Yeah. But yeah, we've been on a journey together and it's been like such a joy to exchange coaching with one another too, that I was reflecting on like how much of a resource you've been for me, like beyond our friendship, which is like one of the greatest gifts of my life, but just best. Like, yeah, having you as like a peer advisor, a colleague, like someone, if I'm in a sticky situation with a client or like something keeps repeating itself, like I know that I can hit you up for it. And that the fact that like you've offered me incredible coaching before, and it's been so good to work with you too and get like feedback on my work and what you feel has been like. Yeah. I don't know. It's so great to like hear things highlighted that I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize that that was an aspect.
Yeah, there's something really fun I think about getting to work with people you really respect. Yeah, and that's like it's like a whole new look. I think especially when you shift careers, shocker, this is the subject of the podcast. You know, like when you do sort of these transitions. At least for me, my experience has been like when you're 22 and hustling and starting off, like you're going to the drinks and you're doing the assisted things and you're like you know. Meeting and wheeling and dealing, and your job is like to network and like build those relationships, or at least like that was what we were groomed to believe.
In the entertainment industry. Schmooze, baby.
Schmooze it up, baby. And then now all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm making these decisions to change my life and change my career that feels like more a reflection of who I am and what I want and what feels right. And also like specific to me, I think where like I can most be of service. And I would imagine you agree. Yeah. And I'm like, that feels at odds with the idea of like schmooze baby. So I think it's like hard to find or harder to find in this kind of sort of second career transition, like that same sort of camaraderie. And there's a lot of people I meet that are wonderful that are just like not my people. And so I think it's really special when you like have that and rare.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if it would be fun to like look back right now at like I'm thinking about the first time that I spoke to you on the phone. I have like a very distinct memory of our first conversation.
Wait, tell me what yours was.
That's crazy that you do.
Wait, I have like such a distinct memory.
It was like either August or September of 2020 because it was like still really beautiful out in New York. And we were like in the throes of, it was the 2020 election.
Yeah.
But I had like been out and about, like enjoying a beautiful day. And I knew I had this call with you. And so I like hopped in an Uber and was on the phone with you. And I was like, oh my God, she's like really cool. Wait, I can like actually have a conversation with her. I can like really level with her.
Yeah.
She really gets it. Like, and I'm really interested in connecting with people who I perceive as like a lot more knowledgeable and a lot smarter than me, but aren't pretentious about it.
Same.
And I immediately felt that with you, that I was like, oh, she knows a lot more about the political arena than I do. Like, I was just like the music industry chick that was like, things aren't okay and everybody should vote, you know?
but I was like, there's this Secretary of State in North Carolina.
But yeah, that was my like perception of you.
Wow.
That I was like, oh, how nice. How nice. And I remember the Uber ride. I remember like still being on the phone with you, getting out of the car and going in my apartment and just, it's a distinct, like, I'm in the back of the car right now thinking about it.
So my memory was I was in this, my old apartment in Venice. I had gotten this client like sort of in this weird way in July of 2020.
Yeah.
I was, working for myself, had lots of clients. And I got a call that the person who's like the in-house VP, shout out Shauna, also
shout out Shauna,
guest on the pod. She just had a baby and like needed someone to come in very impromptu. Like it was a Friday, like start on Monday kind of thing to like just help support the team through all of this. Help support the team. It was like the most insane, like impact driven time ever.
Totally.
But it was all on Zoom and I like didn't know anyone. I was like, felt like every call I was like, hi, this is who I am. I have some authority, but also like you have no idea anything about me. So am I supposed to like, like it was just like a very, if I'm being really honest, like I had to do a lot of like suit up and like act as if I felt very comfortable in a lot of rooms because I was just like, I knew what I was talking about. I had the expertise, but it was just shoved into like people who all knew each other with like, I couldn't walk into the office and meet anybody.
Well, you conveyed that so well because you were like, listen, I've kind of been thrown in the deep end here, but this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I've created. Yeah. I was thinking about like you telling me about, what was it? OMG, WTF.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, okay, great. I fully trust you. I'll get you up to speed on what we're supposed to be working on.
Wow, it's so funny to hear too that like I was like, wah, and you were like, yeah, no, you were very like I understood everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I remember getting on the phone with you and being like, oh, I can talk to this person like I'm like they're another human being.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to do any of this posturing. I was like, she's cool. Also, I'm like, I'm gonna sound really obnoxious right now, but I'm like, she's so competent. Like there was just something I was like, oh my God, thank God there's someone on the other side of this phone who's gonna like make sure things happen well and thoughtfully and at a high level and like with a vision.
Thank you.
And yeah, I trusted you immediately. And I was like sitting on my couch with my dog, R.I.P. Rusty.
And here we are. 6 years later, sitting on a couch.
On a different couch. I feel like this episode is probably going to out me and my woo-woo-ness and witchiness, which
Me
I'm
too.
so here for, because I find like I still find for myself that like I'm a little like cagey's not the right word, but like I pick and choose how much of that I share depending on who I'm with. Like I sort of say very much like at this point I'm like, this is who I am. I try to be the same version of myself in every room, but I'm like, there's some rooms where I'm like, I'm already a friggin' coach. I have a podcast. I'm like, how much do I want to like social pattern someone else's perception of me and like being taken seriously or being respected? And so I'm curious for you what that's like for you as someone who's now like, I'm an intuitive healer.
Yeah.
You know?
Like that, the fact that I'm saying that is like huge for me personally.
Yeah.
Like I think I like denied that for so long. And like, yeah, I'm a Reiki practitioner. I'm a Reiki, even saying Reiki master was uncomfortable for a while. Like there's so much preconceived. You know that I struggled calling myself a coach. Like
Dude,
I had
same.
a whole thing with the word coach, and we will get into why.
Same.
Maybe we don't even need to get into why. Maybe everyone listening already knows.
Yeah. I'm like, I think everyone else is rolling their eyes at me because guess what? I was rolling my eyes at me.
Sure, but I think that's like the whole process of becoming is like the thing that you are called to do and like the medicine that you already hold, but it maybe you're not conscious of it yet, is probably going to disgust you first before you're completely like enamored with it, because there's like going to be like a natural resistance to this like faded thing that you're getting pulled into.
Well,
you know,
100%.
Yeah.
I think it's actually like the spiritual curriculum for me was like the very things that I had to confront in order to do the things I felt called to do, to like tap into the medicine, to use your words, were my most shadow, scariest parts of myself. I was like, oh, I've spent a lifetime like wanting everyone to think I'm cool. I've spent a lifetime sort of living for the perception of other people. I mean, to a degree, but yeah, I mean, I think many people are. I don't think I'm alone in that. But I am someone who is very like younger versions of myself was very preoccupied with that.
Yeah.
And sort of like cutting the corners of versions of myself that would be the most like combination of like accepted and admired in a room. That to then be like, oh, I'm going to pick the very thing that in order to step into the thing I have to shed is like, someone's going to think you're fucking annoying, girl. Like, you know, like.
But like it's inevitable no matter what path we choose. Someone's going to think we're annoying. So we might as well fully and completely be ourselves.
God bless. But I do think it's like you have to tap into the exact thing that is your specific.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Yeah.
Like, what was your journey of that? What was the thing that you were like, oh, this is the exact thing that I'm.
I think it's been like an unfolding.
Yeah.
Or becoming, like, as sort of mentioned when I started on this path. Like I started in 2019. I was supposed to speak at a conference and like represent headcount on this panel.
Yeah.
And I'd been sick for multiple months. I didn't feel like myself. I felt like I had no voice. And I remember just feeling like a scared child and being like, me, what could I possibly have to say?
Yeah.
Why are they asking me to do this? I don't know anything.
Yeah.
And I had all these ClassPass credits racked up because I hadn't been working out because I'd been sick. And I saw that Reiki was available and I had enough credits for it. I haven't used ClassPass in a while. I don't know if it still works this way anymore. But anyway.
God, old school ClassPass.
Old school was the best, by the way.
Best.
Like, oh, amazing.
Gen Z will never know.
Yeah. Shout out ClassPass for starting my career, apparently.
Intuitive healers, sponsored by
I go meet this woman in this like funny building in the financial district and get on the table. And I'd heard about Reiki. I think I'd actually received it before in a massage one time, but who knows?
Yeah.
And I got off that table, not only feeling like myself, but feeling like the best version of myself ever. And she was like, oh, girl, your throat chakra was so blocked. And I was like, tell me more, because I cannot believe how I feel right now. Crushed the conference, thank God. For a while, like whenever I needed a confidence boost, I would like go back and watch the video of me talking at this conference, which is like so not me to do something like that. But I couldn't deny how powerful it had been for me. And I'm a freak that I can't just like enjoy something. Like I have to learn how to do it. And so fast forward, like this was like maybe like April or May of 2019 when I first had this experience. Fast forward to like August, I'm studying Reiki 1. And just like the path began, right? And you know, at headcount, it's so funny we're talking so much about headcount. Shout out headcount.
Honestly, shout out headcount. We're really I love that the only name drop. We're avoiding any of the actual name drops we could name drop, but we're just headcount and ClassPass. That's all that really matters.
Yeah. Well, I think we're like under NDA with everything. I'm just kidding.
No, I think we probably are.
My colleagues at Headcount called me the witch doctor, like already. So like I wasn't hiding anything. Like if anyone had a headache, they would like come over and be like, do you have like a potion or a tincture or something I could take? Like, I think like leading up to this, I'd been on this path of like kind of getting curious about complementary and alternative medicine. And I even remember I'm like having this moment of being in this college group where I studied comparative religion in India and Nepal for a semester. I remember my friend from this class being like, he was doing really funny impressions of everyone. Mm-hmm. And I was like, do me. And he's like, my chakras hurt. And I was like, what? What? Hilarious. I think about that so often. Shout out Russell, wherever you are. I haven't kept up with you, but I wish you well. But like my chakras hurt being like the thing that came through in whatever year this was, 2012. Like that's so funny because that's also like a thing that you and I connect on is that like we use the word irreverence a lot, but I also say like I hold this work with reverence and humor. So I hold it with reverence and irreverence is contradictory, but
no, but it's true.
Yeah, like I deeply, deeply respect this work and I like hold it lightly with like a joke. My chakras hurt. Like that's so funny.
It's so funny.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I've said this is now not like the first time I've said this on the podcast, but like I find that you think about like monks or the Dalai Lama, like the most enlightened people are the lightest, most joyful. I do think that the more you're willing to touch the scary, darky, like be with the parts of yourself you're scared of or do the work to sort of like unearth the things that I think it's very human nature to want to do everything to defend yourself from having to feel and experience, you learn to hold it all a lot more lightly.
Yeah. In somatic work, a lot of our approach is just like trying to approach things with neutrality. Like taking out the binary and the like, there's no good or bad. There's no shame, no blame. Yep. Like, what if we could just like look at it as an observer?
Yep.
And one of the best ways to bring neutrality into something is to laugh at it.
Correct.
So it doesn't have as much power over you. Other than like maybe you're alchemizing it into bringing you joy, which like I said the word. Alchemize. Also, just the phrase, alchemize into joy.
Alchemize it into joy, baby.
Sophie and I have like an ongoing list of like, and it's related to the coaching thing, but just like, what are the phrases? What are the makes ones us like roll our eyes?
What are the ones we said to? But there were some really funny ones this week. We're recording this like a few days after launching the podcast. Yeah. So I was texting with you, and I was like, I went and like got a croissant. And you were like, there's some gluten that, doesn't count because I shouldn't eat gluten for my health. That's a whole other conversation. And I think I said something along the lines of, I was like, spiritual gluten is different. And I was like, who am I?
Add it to the lexicon. Add it to the lexicon.
Spiritual gluten.
If you get it, you get it.
I love it.
Yeah.
No one's going to get it.
Speaking about gluten, it's really funny. I had this path of being like, okay, I've done this Reiki thing. I'm a Reiki practitioner. This is really cool. And through the process of getting attuned to Reiki, like it strips away all the stuff that cannot stay. And it gets you in closer alignment to your path, like no matter what. And so I think this was sort of inevitable. But through 2020, through the chaos of 2020, I had really been discerning what was next for me, which, by the way, I was at the height of my career, my previous career in 2020. So this was like really, I think, difficult to reckon with, that I was like, here I am, like on the precipice of something, and I'm actually ready to walk away.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Terrifying.
What did that feel like?
Like, I remember being really angry about it.
Yeah.
And, but there was like an acceptance of like, I'm just going to be faking it if I keep pushing this, if I like keep going with this. But like frustrated that I had to make this change. And then like somehow eventually it turned into like a lot of excitement.
Yep.
But so I was like discerning, like, what is this next thing? And I landed on nutritional therapy. I was like, oh, this is like a socially acceptable way for me to support people. Mm-hmm. People won't know what a freak I am if I have like the science to back it up, right? Mm-hmm. Which, like, there's so much there. Yeah. And so in 2021, I began like a year-long intensive program while I was still working full-time at Headcount. Total trip of a year. Yeah. 2021 was this like year of major intensity of like kind of secretly knowing that I was leaving not just Headcount, but the music industry in general. And then like building up this new thing. And in October of 2021, I quit. Yeah. Maybe the like biggest like spiritual like crucible I have walked is being a business owner and like going out into entrepreneurship and like starting my own thing.
Okay, say more about this.
You have to face all of your flaws, all of your talents, you know, every single thing. Yeah. It just like you're taking a flashlight to the entirety of you. Like starting and running a business is a full-time job. And then you want to actually just be doing the work with people.
100%.
And that's what I've felt is like, I love this work. Like yesterday was like the best day of my life because I had 3 private sessions and I taught a class in the evening. Yeah. It was so good. Like
you were just doing the actual
This is what
work.
I live for. I was just doing the stuff. Like I love my work. I'm going to say something scary, which is I think I'm really fucking good at what I do. Yeah. And it's not really me. It's spirit. Yep. And I'm very grateful that I have that in this lifetime. Part of my purpose is to bring some of that to humanity. That is an intense thing I just said, but it's true. It feels true for me. And yet, like all the like human 3D stuff of like running a business really is just a drag. Yeah. And I think that's why so many amazing healers and artists and coaches like maybe don't ever get their moment of recognition because it's like it's hard to like hold really, really strong medicine and run a good business.
I want to pause at this thing. You were like, I'm going to say something really scary. And like, you're like, wow, that's an insane thing to just say. Like, I'm really good at this. And like, this is part of my purpose here to do. Which I just heard myself say that back. And I'm like, yeah, like I can hear an old version of me like roll my eyes but I know for myself that it's actually quite easy for me to talk about what I'm scared of or my pain or share things that are hard or anything that comes from a place of being like the safety of feeling a little bit smaller. Mm-hmm. But nothing is scarier for me or requires like more safety and trust than being like, I am good at this. This is what I want. These are my dreams. I actually think I have something to offer here. I see something for my own like weird time on this planet, but also for so many other people in me sharing this thing, whatever like language you want to use, that is so much scarier. than, oh yeah, I'm working on this, or like I'm scared of this, or I'm going to be vulnerable and like share this thing that's hard for me. Like that's actually not that scary.
I think you're so right in sharing that, like, the self-deprecating things are so much easier, and we like use that as almost like a cheap form of relating to one another.
Correct. Oh boy, I relate.
And it's scary to feel like I'm promoting myself because I'm worried that people will perceive me as like not being grounded in reality, which like, I live in New York City. I am so grounded in the like most intense reality.
Yeah.
And it's really the judgment that I have placed upon myself and others is what I fear will return to me. And it will. It will. And so it's actually like my work currently is just like holding it, accepting it, being with the discomfort of it, and moving past it, and still saying the thing anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I relate so much. You know, it's like the judgment thing, and it's like, yeah, it's the judgment I've put on myself, the judgment I put on others. I internalize it and assume like that's what I'm going to get, and like probably will. And I'm trying to right now be like, judge me, baby. It's even, I notice in this conversation that we're having, I'm like, oh, who's going to listen to this one as we're talking about? They're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize Sophie was like, what is it that I'm scared someone's going to think about me? I think, look, coaching changed my life. I work in a different modality. Other spiritual work has changed my life. I believe it wholeheartedly. I think I will say the same scary thing. I think I'm really good at it.
Yeah. I know you're really good at it.
I am so honored that people trust me with like their time and their dreams and their hopes and the vulnerability of being like, I want more. And like that time that we get to spend together is so miraculous and precious. And again, is not me. I don't believe is me channeling something. I also believe that in my own creativity, and now like the things I'm writing or creating this or being like, I want these kind of conversations to exist. And I also hate talking about coaching. Like I have yet to figure out. I mean, we were texting the other day about like, I feel like rewrite my whole website right now, and I know you're working on stuff. And I'm like, it's so hard not to sound like you've used ChatGPT when you talk about any sort of like,
God forbid you were like a little advanced in language arts as a 5th grader.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you sound like ChatGPT because
like,
you use an M-dash.
I know I've had to retire my love of an M-dash, but no, but I do think it's like, I have yet to figure out how to talk about something that I believe in a way that feels reflective of who I am. Even right now, trying to be like, if I were to try to explain to someone who has like found this podcast because another guest shared it and knows nothing about me and is like, you're a coach, what kind of coach are you? I'm like, I call myself a leadership coach because I think that that feels more accessible to more people than life coach. I think there's a self-selecting group of people who want a life coach. I call myself a leadership coach because I do believe that like whatever it is any of us are stepping into, that is like what our gift is, what we are here to share, what like whatever you believe or don't believe, like I do believe we were like put here on purpose, and like we are here to share that with the world, not in some egoic pursuit of like, here I am, baby, but in this, like, actually, this is how I participate, and this is how we live in a world that's more of a place we all want to live in. And like, my God, do I want to live in a world where like more people are fully themselves and like less scared to share like whatever brilliant thing is like banging around in their brain. Like, I imagine that that world is so much more beautiful and expansive than the one we live in right now. And yet I'm so scared that people are like, yeah, going to be like, wow, don't know what she's talking about. She's really lost the plot, whatever that sort of language is or narrative that we think other people are going to think about us.
My dear friend Noah he's been in chaplaincy training for the last year.
Obsessed.
And he's like, really, all I'm doing is sitting, listening, and allowing them to borrow from me whatever they need in that moment. Is that hope? Is that confidence? What is the thing? Is it just borrowing my perspective on the situation until it's comfortable enough for them to hold it themselves? And I mean, we know so much with our nervous systems that we co-regulate with other beings.
Yep.
We are animals. We have to remember that we're animals.
Yep.
We heal in the presence of a compassionate witness. And sometimes that looks like just offering a different perspective that someone can borrow for a moment until they find their truth.
Yeah. I mean, I say this to every client I start working with, of one of the things that I think about coaching and how I'm trained is I am not the expert in your life. You are the expert in your life.
Yeah.
But what I am trained in is to listen and create a certain context or be able to reflect back something I hear that might just adjust the prism a little bit to see some other possibility around the thing you're looking at. But it's not up to me if you're coming and looking to me for what is right for you, then we're going to go have to spend some time around what is your experience around right versus wrong, and why are you outsourcing your knowing to another person. And actually probably the work we need to do is building the muscle of self-trust and internal authority.
Okay, you are speaking to why I made the transition from nutritional therapy to somatic coaching.
Go on.
As I continue, I've studied multiple different approaches to somatics, embodiment, nervous system, applied neuroscience, a lot of different fields. And I actually noticed with my nutrition clients, they were getting 90% of the way there. And then there was this final 10% that was just what is happening? And I brought in some nervous system skills that I had just learned randomly. And all of a sudden people were crossing the finish line. Whatever they had determined for themselves was the finish line. I was like, there is something to this. And so I went in pretty deep over a number of years with these studies. And so my work evolved into nutrition and nervous system coaching. And as I went deeper and deeper into somatics and into embodiment, which is ultimately let's find your body's voice of truth. What is correct for you?
Yep.
What is true for you? And then separately, as I've been on my own process of deconditioning, I was I actually am so uncomfortable telling people what to do anymore. This actually is not correct for me.
Correct.
I am not here to tell people what to do. And nutritional therapy, even though it's bio-individual and sure, whatever, ultimately the type of dynamic that people were seeking when they were seeking out that work was, tell me what to do. And I don't want to do that anymore. I can't do it anymore. Knowing what I know, how deep I've walked this path, I don't know if that's correct, where I am currently at on my path.
Maybe this entire episode is just you and I accepting that we just sometimes are going to say those things.
What I do love to do and what I do now is set up situations and facilitate environments for people to go deep within themselves in a process of self-inquiry and self-discovery to discover their body's voice of truth and get guidance within on the next steps. So much of this work is helping people find inner safety in the free fall. Being okay with admitting I'm lost, or finding comfort in loosening that grip of control a little bit and seeing what happens on the other side. Alternatively, some of this work is helping people realize, and it's so, by the way, all of this sticks better if you find it within yourself instead of me telling you.
Correct.
The other side of it is helping people realize, like, oh, actually, you are in control. Yeah. Actually, you are incredibly resourced. And not that I'm telling them that.
Yeah.
But that we are setting up situations and creating environments for people to be able to walk up and meet those parts of themselves. And that's where it actually sticks.
Correct. The thing that's so interesting as I listen to you talk, because I think we both work with the type of clients that tend to come to me, and I imagine the type of clients that tend to come to you, even though we do different work. Although I would argue it's all safety and control everywhere, and self-acceptance and self-compassion. Yeah. I agree. And I think it's, what do we do to try to make ourselves feel safe? What do we do to try to find control? Yeah. And that was what I was going to get at, is I think there's one part of the work, I think you can't coach what you haven't already done the work into. And I have noticed for myself, and I see it in a lot of clients, but I will speak specifically to my own experience, that sometimes it is much easier for me to use, my spiritual scaffolding when something hard is happening. Like, I actually now have a pretty strong, LOL, I've also had a lot of really hard shit happen in the last 5 years. But like, to your point, like, can I be with something uncomfortable? Can I meet that moment? Can I sit in that? Like, when there's some level of annihilation or grief or loss or letting go or something I don't want to be happening is happening, I've found that now that is actually a place where it's more easier for me to tap into. How do I resource myself? How do I surrender? Where can I find acceptance? And it's in the things of, I want to go pursue something in my life. I want my life to get bigger. I want to be less scared to share, the things that I'm good at with the world. I want to fall in love and open my heart to another human being. Like, it's actually the good stuff that I notice is much scarier for me to tap into the toolbox that I now have. Absolutely. Than the hard things. And I'm curious if that shows up in your work.
Absolutely. Okay. You've had a really big week, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. But I will share that I've was in private practice for many years. For 16 months, took on what was supposed to be a part-time project. Yep. It kind of took over my whole life. And in the last few months of it, was like, I have to get out, have to be fully back in private practice, and had a very strong vision of exactly what it was going to be. Here I am. And I'm like, uh-oh. Yeah. Wait, no. Yeah. It's actually changing. Yeah. It's actually not at all what I thought it would be. And so I've been navigating, feeling like a major lack of control. And I find that I'm patterning back into the way that I act when things are going wrong. And I had this moment on the subway last night, headed into this class, where I'm like, actually, I'm completely fine. Actually, everything's totally fine. There's nothing wrong. I have been pulling out my emergency reserves that I think I'm really used to. I'm great in a crisis. Yeah. Why am I treating this like it's a crisis? Everything is fine. And that was, in somatics, we talk about a bottom-up process, right? Top-down, talk therapy is a top-down process, right? We're reframing things in the mind. It's a lot of mindset work. It's how the mind affects the body. In somatics, we engage a little bit of that, but we do a lot of bottom-up processing, where we're actually checking in with what is happening in the soma, the entirety of our being, our body and our mind, and our soul and spirit, and seeing what's happening there. And it was a mental script that I was giving myself, that things are not okay and I'm under threat because things are not panning out the way I anticipated, or things are feeling different now that I'm in them.
Mm-hmm.
And like in checking in with myself, like I'm like on the train and I'm like, I'm fully at peace. I have everything I need. My body is calm. I have energy to go teach this class after having 3 really long, intense sessions with people today. By the way, love it.
Yeah.
And then in the class that I'm facilitating, I'm having this moment of realization, which is so cool. Like, we have to sit in this work ourselves, having this moment of being like, why am I acting like I'm not in control? I'm in complete control. I have all the resources I need to do what I need to do. And the brain always wants to go back to what it knows, and what it like is comfortable with is acting like things are crisis and chaos. And actually, I'm in a place of like, it's all good. Do I know how to create something when it's all good? I'm not sure.
Scary.
I'm not sure. So that's the place that I'm currently in, is being like, can I create something new from calm and from resourced? Somehow that is more challenging than 911 emergency fight or flight intensity.
What do you think, if you could like imagine like creating something from calm and resource, like just using your words, do you have a like idea of what that would feel like?
Well, you know what's so funny is like at the end of a really good day, I'll be like, oh, it was a really good day. Like there's a lightness and a peace about it. And I don't feel it in my body the way I feel like a really intense day, really difficult day. And because I'm so used to that negative signal, it actually, my current system, my current like where I'm at, asks me to pay more attention to the good, because it's more subtle than the bad. And so I anticipate that like building from good would feel very floaty and very peaceful, and probably all the things that we're like kind of talking about that we're scared of like looking like la 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 la, I'm just floating through life. This is me in my caftan and my organically grown herbs from my garden. And like I want that. I crave that. Like this whole journey has actually been seeking more peace. Here I am like on the precipice of like actually fully integrating it into my life and embodying it. And it's like, oh, there's so much resistance. Do I deserve, like, I mean, this is a whole nother podcast. Like, do I deserve this thing that I've been working towards?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's what I was going to ask you too, is like, what do you think you get out of resisting that? Like, I know what I get out of resisting it.
Yeah. Getting to stay in the old story.
Yeah.
Getting to repeat the same scripts that are safe and comfortable.
Yeah.
Getting to spin my wheels on like building the thing instead of like executing the thing or putting it out in the world. And that creates like a sense of false busyness and false purpose. And yeah, if you're used to always like yearning and striving, and you are like, I don't want to be doing that anymore, I argue it's going to be a lot harder than you anticipate.
It's so much harder to actually do something and have it like exist and be like tangible and imperfect and not a fantasy than sit dreaming that like someday I'm going to do some big magical thing.
Well, and you did it this week. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny. It's so meta. Yeah. This is the first, I don't know, I've banked a bunch of episodes, but this is the first recording since it went live. And, I feel so, my whole nervous system just went like, I'm like, oh, it feels vulnerable to talk about. I feel really, really proud of myself. That feels scary to say out loud. I feel really proud of myself. And, we're talking about how like we believe in this work so much. I'm like, I couldn't do this without the coaching and spiritual work I do. Like, there's just no way. This idea that
I'll say it. You couldn't do it without God.
Couldn't.
We're going there.
There we go. Okay.
HP.
Yeah. HP, some big higher power. Yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't do this without God. I couldn't do this without whatever you believe in. This is not like religious, but like my old way of doing things was to have secret dreams and think that I couldn't have them and that everyone would be like, you want that? You think you're gonna like standing at the top of a stairs in some 90s high school rom-com movie with everyone laughing at me was like that, that was every time I had like a vision of a dream. So I didn't even tell anybody I wanted it. I had a dear friend I've already referenced many times on this podcast, said to me once, she's like, some people are sitting on the bench of the game being like, put me in, coach. Some people are like in the stands being like, I love this game. You're like out in the parking lot pretending you hate sports, but like secretly wanting to be the quarterback.
Oh my God.
And like that was like the way I lived my life was like, I'm just going to pretend I just don't even like the things I secretly am like jealous of all these humans getting to have. And through a lot of work and a lot of, again, like it feels unsafe. It feels uncomfortable. It requires me to have done a lot of work around visibility, which I think is like a many generational like lineage healing work that I am doing in this lifetime. Like I was walking around yesterday or 2 days ago when the pod came out, like went to my favorite coffee shop near where I went to, shout out Hungarian pastry shop, where I went to college, where I used to write in college, listening to my own podcast on the subway, thinking about years of listening to other people's podcasts, being jealous, being like, if only I could do that. Going up and writing and working on this creative project that I'm doing now, that's like a separate thing. Thinking about like sitting next to like cool writers when I was in college, being like, I'm so jealous of what they're doing. I mean, like, oh, fuck. Like, I feel really proud of myself for like saying I wanted to do something, being like, no, I think I should. I actually think like if I feel called to, it's because some part of me is supposed to do this. Mm-hmm. And I had got some really beautiful messages in the first couple days from people who just were like, I mean, if like it was just like this one message I got from someone being like, my God, like I felt like seen in something I haven't felt seen in, and like, thank you for making this. I'm like, great, I'm done. Like my work here's done. But yeah, even sitting here now talking to you about it, spending this much time on an episode talking about myself and launching a podcast feels uncomfortable. Yeah. But
I know I'm having a moment here where I'm like, what have we just talked about?
I have no idea.
And this is going to go out into the public?
I know, right?
Bearing our souls.
No, but we're living in a world like, all of the work I've done, you've done, has been to some degree to be of service to like humanity as a whole. That sounds,
we're in helping professions.
We're in helping professions. Yeah. It used to be through voter work and political systemic work. And I think we both, and we can talk about why, like, have felt like this sort of heart healing spirit work is actually where we are more our superpowers than the other thing. And I think I look at the world, to ground it in reality, which I think sometimes this work gets a bad rep because we are not rooting it in what is actually happening in the world, which is a world full of a lot of suffering and pain and challenge and annihilation. Mm-hmm. And things are certainly coming apart right now. Mm-hmm. And like, we can talk about the gift of ease and floating through life. And like, it does not feel like an easy breezy time for a lot of human beings.
Correct.
What does a grounded and healthy nervous system, like what is the value of having a grounded and healthy nervous system in this moment of time do? Like, why is that important? What is the value of this work in this particular moment in time right now? Why is it important for people to have regulated nervous systems in, February of 2026?
On a scientific level, you don't have full capacity for proper analytical thinking when you are constantly in sympathetic overdrive, which is to say that you are constantly in fight or flight, or constantly activated in some way. Alternatively, a lot of us are experiencing major shutdown right now. I know that's where like my nervous system likes to go, is in like a real like freeze collapse in a lot of ways. This looks like depression in a lot of people. My work is not here to pathologize or, I'm not trying to be clinical at all with anyone. But I think that nervous system work in February of 2026 is peaceful warrior training. And I think that we have to know ourselves and know what our baseline and home frequency is for us to be able to navigate the unknown and the newness that is coming our way in such a rapid fashion that we have never experienced before in humanity. In the last 3 months, I mean, I could go down a rabbit hole with the way that AI is rapidly advancing just in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's a reckoning, like we have to tap into what makes us uniquely human, and our beautiful, adaptive, flexible nervous systems are the things that make us uniquely human. And in this work, we talk about the window of tolerance, right? So if you haven't heard that before, it is simply like the capacity that you have at any given moment. It's a very flexible thing. But when our window of tolerance is quite narrow, any sort of stimuli can throw us off very quickly. And like the thing about having a beautiful adaptive nervous system is not the idea of staying regulated all the time. Like what is happening in the world, some of it should be activating us. Some of it we do need to be responding to. But when they're flooding the field with so much chaos happening all at once, we don't know what to respond to. Everything is throwing us off. We have to center. We have to widen our window of tolerance so that we can have greater discernment of what of these things are worthy of our activation and narrow focus and fight back or run away from or hide from, right? But like, but we don't have that level of discernment if every single thing is throwing us off. If our window of tolerance is really, really narrow, we're going to get thrown by everything. We're not going to know who we are at our baseline. We're not going to have any sense of internal compass or discernment whatsoever. Through this work, both with the applied neuroscience approach of working with nervous system attunement and flexibility, and also by doing more embodiment work, self-inquiry, kind of more of the somatic coaching, going inward and understanding these aspects of yourself, the combined process helps widen that window of tolerance to just be able to hold more. And like February 2026, we all need a little bit more capacity to hold more.
Yeah.
It's a lot right now.
Yeah.
And so when our window of tolerance is widened, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden, like, we're not going to get triggered by certain things. But you can hold everything that's like coming your way.
Yep.
And again, be able to like have that discernment. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. No,
Yeah.
I was listening. I'm like, I mean, I love how you phrased it. You know, I talk about our capacity to be with discomfort. And you're talking about the window of tolerance. And I think that there is this false choice I believe we are fed to like focus on ourselves or to care about the world, to be like selfish or martyrs to a selfless system.
The aggressive like boundary talk.
Yeah.
Oh, no one knows how to sit with discomfort anymore. You don't know how to have a difficult conversation.
No, we don't. We can't be with anything friction in our lives.
How are you going to function in the world that is being created right now?
Yeah. No, and when I think about like talking about like, you know, possibility and people sharing more of themselves, I'm not like, in this fantastical world where no one has to make money and everyone can just like flight around and pursue their dreams. It's like, no. I think we are each uniquely qualified to contribute to a meaningful society that makes us all have a more expansive, beautiful life. And that requires more people to participate. And how do we participate if everyone is scared to take a risk? How do we participate if everyone is dysregulated? This work that we are talking about doing, and it's so cool. I think we got to spend a bunch of time talking about the stuff that makes us uncomfortable talking about it. Mm-hmm. And now we're dropped in. I'm like, I don't feel uncomfortable talking about this shit at all. This is why I went from advising people on where to move millions of dollars to being like, this is the work I believe. Like, I still believe just as much, like, I want the world to be a better place. I just see for me this being the avenue I can contribute much more than like moving dollars within a system that I think is already sort of like trapped in whatever. That's my thoughts on the philanthropic world is a separate conversation. But yeah, I think all of this is so, I do believe we are here to get to have beautiful lives. Mm-hmm. And, I do think it is, there's an episode that was released yesterday with the launch. It's like, she talks about like it's a miracle that we get to be here. And I believe that fully. And we are put out here with like these little like whispers inside of us of like what it is we're meant to share. And like this is the moment in time so many of us are alive. And that is like not an insignificant thing.
It's not a mistake.
And it's not a mistake. And I want more people to be able to feel grounded and safe in their own bodies because a lot of stuff outside of ourselves feels very unsafe.
We talk a lot about resource in this work. Mm-hmm. Like resource is like a noun, like a person, place, thing, or idea.
Yep.
Or it could be a part of yourself.
Yep.
That is helping you get through your days right now, helping you exist in the world currently. And we don't put like a value judgment on things. So if like the only way you can write is if you have a coffee and a cigarette, cool, those are your resources for writing. We don't judge them.
Yep.
Great. Thank you, resources, for helping me write. Wonderful. Mm-hmm. We start by like acknowledging those resources. And then we actually like when people go into this process of like self-inquiry, which is like kind of going deep, going inward, and it can be a little psychedelic. Like people go on these journeys just within themselves, no drugs at all. Like nothing's happening other than they're just tapping into parts of themselves that they've been so distracted from that it feels really intense. So sometimes we bring in the idea of those resources. If somebody has a pet, I might, find out about the pet. What's their name? Like, oh, imagine Fluffy coming to curl up on your chest right now. Like, what is that offering you?
Yeah.
And through these sessions, they start discovering more and more of their own internal resources. So then like in the next session, we're like, hey, that resource that came through the last time.
Yep.
Let's talk about that. Do we want to bring that into this, exploring it? What is happening when we are more and more resourced is we have more tools in our toolbox, of course, but we're able to get more creative about how to navigate our lives.
Yeah.
We can start to see things from different perspectives. We're not just following the same groove, the same script over and over again. It's like, I had this crazy resource come through in a session that I was receiving from my teacher about like a glass cube that I was in, and all of my loved ones were either like outside of the glass cube or in the glass cube with me. And I was noticing that like the group, and I don't necessarily need to get into why, but there's like something related to the cube and who sees me but isn't actually in here with me and close to me, and then who is actually here with me and close to me, and we can like really sense into each other. And finding comfort in like that, being like understanding the difference between the two. That resource, this was like years ago that this went down. That resource has completely changed the way that I navigate my relationships for the better. It's fantastic. And I think about it regularly,
Yeah, because you now have to just be like, oh, right, you're like, I found some knowing within myself. Again, because it's not anyone else telling you what to do.
Yeah.
So once you have that and you're like, oh, I remember what that felt like, I can tap back into it with such simplicity in some ways and be like, oh, right, I can orient myself in that vision I had, that thing I connected to inside of myself, that cube moment, and who was in and who was outside. Be like, okay, I can see how I want to engage in this moment. And it's different than all the getting in your head craziness that I think we, again, over intellectualize our feelings.
Yeah.
I need to get out of my head and like into my heart and body 99.9% of the time.
Amen. Me too. Okay, I would really love to hear about the process of discernment for you when you were like, I know I want to go into a deeper helping profession.
Yeah.
I know I need to do this. What did that look like for you?
It's 2022. I was on a leadership trip. I was sitting with people I really love and trust. I had a coach now for a while.
Oh.
I was similarly to you at the pinnacle of my career. I had the coolest clients. I was making so much money.
Talk about grief.
Oh man, and like I know this for you. It's like, and it like looked shiny and bright. Like in the same way that like, you were talking earlier about your journey, like you were like in Billboard magazine. You were getting written up. I was like at dinners with the who's who and like traveling the and like, and I just sort of knew. I was like, I've referenced I had, my at this point my mom was still alive, but my grandma, my dog, and my stepfather had died in a 6-month succession. And I had been in the room. Well, I wasn't in the room when my grandma died, but I was with her just before. But I was in the room with my dog and my stepdad. So I had, it was the pandemic still. So I was like, it was 2021. I had been in the room with people dying more than I had been in a movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really oriented to, I was like, I am going to die. I get it now. Like I'm here and I'm going to be gone and like, this is it. And I was like, I don't think I'm living my purpose. I think I'm really good at what I do. And I don't think that like, I'll feel like I lived the life I want to live if this is what I do for the rest of my life. And I was sitting under a tree with someone on this leadership trip, and I was talking, and she was actually a coach. Shout out Jovi and Zane. Jovi, I love you. And she was like, what do you want your day to look like? And I explained what I wanted my day to look like. And she's like, have you ever thought about being a coach? And I came home and I talked to my coach about it. And she's like, shout out Elena Armijo, also brilliant coach. She's like, don't you remember when we first started working together, I told you I thought you'd be an incredible coach? And then I really started thinking about it. I was like, oh, I think what made me so good as a philanthropic advisor was like, I saw people. I understood it was a lot of connecting them with like, what matters to you? What do you want your legacy to be?
Right.
Who are you at your heart? And so what's the work we can go do that can reflect that out? It wasn't just like, here's the system that's going to be. And then I connected that to like what I thought was actually like deeply impactful, meaningful work. And I was like, oh, that's kind of also what I do in my friend. Like, this is just like who I am. It's the thing I bring wherever I go. And when you do coaching work, you do essence work, you sort of get to like, what is the thing that no matter what shows up when you do? And I was like, this is what shows up wherever I go, is this part of me that like can be with people and make people feel seen and safe and understood and like help reflect back. And I was like, well, what does it look like to live in a world where my job is like to help people want to be like, who do you want to be? Okay, you're in this leadership position where you have all these resources. Like, okay, then what does it mean to be brave? And so I went into a coaching training program. And that was how I chose to be a coach. Not really realizing that I think so much of what I needed to was to do that level of intense coaching that I got in my training program. Because the thing about coaching is like none of it's there. Like you're coached by being coached. So every modality, everything I know to do with clients is something that someone has taken me through. And it is like.
Which is both, I want to name the beauty of coaching and why it is so effective, and also why people get this like MLM sense of coaching. But it quite literally is like each one teach one. And
correct.
It is kind of this like ancient way of being.
It is truly an ancient way of being. And like I am trained in ontological coaching, which is about being. Ontology is this idea of like, how does our being affect our choices? So it is like metaphysical to some degree, even if you're coming to me and talking to me about like, I suck at time management. Like that is, you might not know that is how I'm approaching the conversation, but like that's how we're approaching the conversation. It's like, what's your relationship with time?
Sophie's talking about my core wound right now.
Not something you and I have had coaching sessions.
Perhaps we should.
Maybe again. Yeah, we'll do that offline.
Yeah.
We just do some spot coaching here on the podcast.
Please no.
But you're like, please, I can't. But yeah, and I think in the same way for you, there was like the pit stop of nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
I think at first I thought I only knew how to live supporting other people's dreams. And so it was a very easy pivot to go from advising people in philanthropy and politics to coaching people. And then through all of this, I've actually learned that coaching is like a beautiful leg of the stool of actually how I be in my fullest expression in the world. But some of that was also like led me to connect back to my own creativity and like start writing again and end up doing this podcast and my coaching work. And now as I am really getting to in earnest be like, okay, I'm trained in this thing, but you know, I also have other spiritual curriculums, and also now I'm doing new training. Like, what is my specific
and your lived experience
and my lived experience,
what you have walked through the last few years.
Correct.
I mean, that offers just as much as anything else,
which I bring to it.
Of course you do.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about, because it is the week of the launch, I've been thinking a lot about like, how do I talk about what this podcast is and who it's for, and this idea of like, how are any of us growing and changing and kind of always evolving. I love you acknowledging like, yeah, the risk and the bravery and the courage that is required to like be who you are in the world. Fully.
My favorite Thomas Keating quote starts with, "The spiritual path is a series of embarrassments."
Man, oh man. Am I trying to invite embarrassment in right now?
Yeah.
It's
a series of humiliations.
A series of humiliations. There
the
you go.
spiritual path is a series of humiliations.
Wow. Is there anything we missed? Both of us were like,
what just happened?
What just happened?
What did we just talk about? What time is it?
It's like 3 p.m. We've just been talking about God for like...
Oh, snap back to reality. This is what happens when you're so used to just like going within and going deep and being with what is. You're like,
no. But I love it. I knew that this episode, you know, I will say I was not nervous to have this conversation because you're someone I feel the most comfortable with, but I was like, oh, this conversation is going to require me to actually be honest about some stuff that I am not as comfortable being honest publicly about yet.
Yeah, I'm going to name that I'm like nervous for this to come out.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this is like a new layer of like showing ourselves and becoming. And
yeah. And I think you and I, a lot of our friendship has been like saying the things out loud to each other we felt a little bit scared to say in front of other people. And that over time we've watched each other get more, you know, I will speak for myself. I think that, you know, I started off by saying when I didn't really know you that well and watched you just in your nutritional, you know, coaching era of life, being so inspired by you, being like, oh, she's doing the thing that I kind of want to go do. I'm going to like reach out to this person and be like, I want to do this thing and like stick my neck out. And then we have continued to be like, oh, wow, we're watching stuff happen collectively in the world or in our old industry that, wow, we would do it a different way. Oh, I'm scared this thing is going to happen. And then it was proven to happen. Or like, oh, I'm practicing doing this new thing, or I haven't said this thing out loud yet. And it's such a, you know, if we're talking about it being a gift to the world and gift to people we love to be more of ourselves, I have seen just in my own life what I get from you being brave enough to go first. I mean that really, truly.
Thank you.
And I see from having gotten to do work with you and seeing what happens in your classes, like what you're giving to a lot of people. And so, yeah, it's scary. It's scary to like be weird and tender. And I think it's cool to name that like, I think a lot of people show up and are just like, and this is who I am. And right on for those people. But I think for a lot of us who like part of what our gift is that we are sensitive souls. It's a scary process to show up fully.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thanks for naming that. Thank you. I will never forget that phone call, or like you initially reaching out and being like, can we talk? And
I think I DM'd you because I didn't even have your phone number.
I was feeling so adrift in my work in that moment. And I had been approached about tour managing. I'm going to have to redact the name, but like would have completely, like it was really sick. The offer that came through. Also kind of had no business doing it.
Love.
With my very limited tour management experience. And it would have completely pulled me out of this path. And it was like, I was like grasping at this like old way of being. And then you contacted me and I was like, oh, no, I can't take this. The fact that there's one person that sees what I'm doing right now as like, so thank you. That like completely, you kept me on this path. Yes. And you also said something about like, I really like the way you show up online, which is so funny to me because I feel like a big thorn in my side of entrepreneurship is like, I never know, like, am I posting too personal? Am I posting too professional?
Oh my God. It's like, yeah.
And I'm just, I like to do this work. I am uncomfortable talking about it. I just want to do it with people. I just want to be in it with people. And so there is this desire to be like, here's a gentle, like off, if you get the frequency of this, if you are picking up what I'm putting down, then maybe you're into it.
Yeah.
Instead of like the ridiculously clear explanation of things.
You're doing more of it online. I'm into it.
I'm like, I feel like I've hidden behind a lot of stuff online before. But anyway, just like hearing you say that was so funny to me.
I remember me saying that because I was so icked out by how coaches showed up on the internet. It made me not want to be a coach. And then I was
well, guess what? They have like 40,000 followers and your girl barely has
I know.
creeping
Meanwhile,
up to 2,000.
Like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, same.
Yeah.
No, but that's changed so much. That ick that I had was my own secret desire, or also like the judgment stuff we were internalizing.
Yeah.
But man, I do remember saying, I love how you show up on the internet.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
My DMs are filled.
Yeah. So I appreciate that.
I was talking to a friend on the phone the other day about like, again, posting more on the internet because I have to be now for the work I'm doing, And I was like, sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what to say. And she's like, but you just said so much to me on the phone. She's like, why are we more precious about it?
Yeah.
Like, and again, I think it's that thing you're saying. It's like, I'm like, I'll own everything I just said when I'm talking to someone one-on-one or even 5-on-1 or 20-on-1 or with people who like pay me and entrust me with my wisdom to like be their coach. Like I'll say all of this. What is the thing that makes me all of a sudden like by the way, it's not like there's like 100,000 people watching.
Manifest it, baby.
Yeah, no, weird. But like, why is it that like all of a sudden there's a like, okay, what's the right way to say, like, like what are we doing?
If my aunt listens to this podcast, what is she gonna think?
Oh my God.
Guess what?
My dad is
learning. This is who I am. I'm a real freak.
Shout out to my dad who definitely listens to my podcast. Hi, Dad. But like, my dad is learning so between my writing and now the podcast, he's learning so much about me.
Good. Okay. I also want to name that, like, I think that being like, oh, are people going to see me for who I am? Like, that's so navel-gazy. Like, it's so, like, I'm so exhausted with myself being like, oh, what are people going to think?
Thank God you said that.
I feel. It's so exhausting. Did you ever see the Jemima Kirk, like, she did, like, Ask Me Anything? And then her response was like, I think you girls are thinking about yourselves way too much. That's my internal monologue whenever I'm like, oh,
I'm so
you're thinking about yourself way too much because this work isn't about us.
Because we're saying this whole thing is it's not about us anyway. So why are we sitting here fucking being like, what will people think? No, thank God you just said that. What a good reminder. It's so true. Yeah. It's so navel-gazy. Yeah. And actually it gets in the way of all the things we both just said we believe in, that I believe in for everyone. Is I'm like, actually, you not doing the thing that is how you can be of service in the world by being so consumed by your own shit and your ego of what are people going to think about me? What is it going to mean about me? Da, 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 da.
Boring.
So fucking boring. Yeah. But when I change, the only way I actually, anytime I've changed anything truly, when it's gone from like an intellectual understanding to like that guttural, like, oh, I just am going to do it differently now. Mm-hmm. Is only when I'm absolutely sick of myself. Like I have to get so bored and sick of myself. Yeah. I'm like, what are we like have to get out of your own way. In anything? It's like I'm like, really? We're gonna do this shit again?
Yeah. I wanted to ask you what your experience with like the last time you were in town, we did a session together. And I am just curious if you feel comfortable sharing what that was like for you, like to both do the somatic processing of it and to like receive energy work to like support. Yeah, what you're
I will answer as honestly as I can. I do want to really try to practice on this podcast, like being as vulnerable and honest as I want guests to be.
But like there was also some real like intimate private things. So like share as much as you feel comfortable.
No, of course. I won't say, but what I will say to that, because I know immediately what I want to say is like, I have had some real health struggles over the past few years. Mm-hmm. And when we did a session together, it was right at a pinnacle moment of feeling sort of like some of the worst in my body I've felt in a really long time. I'm feeling a lot better now. I have really cool doctors and like also like a lot of fucking God, but had really been in a season of feeling so at odds and in a state of like sort of doing the most and expecting the least from my body. That was my experience. So I think my body was really mad at me and I was really mad at my body and I didn't feel good. So the experience of being just inside of myself, it was not a pink cloud moment in time. So that's the honest, without getting into too many details, that's the honest thing I'll say. And I remember, and I don't know if I even said this to you in the moment, because there's such neutrality to the work you were doing and you were just reflecting back to me what I said, and it was about my own excavation. I remember being like annoyed and angry. Mm-hmm. I remember being like, no, just tell me, like, oh, you're just going to say that back. Like, not at you, but like the feeling in my body was like, I was like, oh, don't just say that back to me. I'm like, and like, I don't know how I feel. Like I could feel, I had a session that ended up being such a beautiful, powerful experience of having to be with how frustrated I was feeling and how frustrated my body was and how desperate both of us, all of me was mentally, physically, spiritually to feel better and how angry that nothing was working. And that was exactly what needed to come through. It was not a like, oh, now I love myself experience. It was like by being with you and having you just ask me questions and reflect back, I had to really, really sit with how frustrated in that particular moment in time I was. And then by the end, real compassion to be like, okay, we're really frustrated. Like, what do you need? Like, if all I'm doing, I think I said this part, it was like, if all I'm doing is being mad at my body, it's like my body's like, we're doing our fucking best. We're really trying. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I need to like bring some gentleness in here. Mm-hmm. I need to like take a minute every day and really be like, thank you for trying so hard. I know how frustrated it is. I'm really frustrated too. I know this is like, we're really in a moment where like, this sucks. And thank you for trying. And I realized how much I wasn't giving any sort of grace and kindness and compassion to my body, to my nervous system, to all the parts of myself that were really doing their best to try to feel better.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks for asking me.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I didn't. I think I was in the moment, like really. I thought about it a lot since.
Yeah.
But I think, I'm so glad you asked me, because I think as we talk about what this work is and safety and control and a willingness to widen our tolerance, I do think there was some sort of, and this is getting very spiritual and sort of like woo-woo, but I do always think sort of like, my experience at least is like the world sort of meets me anytime I start being in a container, and it was like, oh, I do think some dam broke once I gave myself permission to just admit how angry I was.
Yeah.
You created a container that allowed me to feel just how fucking over it all I was.
Yeah.
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 I had someone in my class last night who, it was a smaller group, so I was like really able to check in on everybody, and I couldn't feel into what was happening with her. And at the end, we were just kind of checking in together. I'm like, just invite, if you have a couple words and you want to share, whatever came through for you tonight. And she was like, oh, I was like, my body was asking me to acknowledge this heaviness that I've been carrying. I have been like, and I like had this moment of like physically holding the weight of the heaviness I've been carrying. And as soon as I acknowledged that, I shifted into being able to have fun. And I had so much fun tonight. I was like, oh my God, that I felt like that was such a good snapshot of what this work is.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I gotta, all the stuff I've been avoiding, everything I don't want to see, everything I don't want to know. Here I am. I'm going to acknowledge it. And the dam breaks.
Yeah.
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 And
yeah.
And then we get to access all these other ways of being that we haven't been able to touch or experience.
One of my favorite expressions that's like certainly not mine. A lot of people say it is like, like there's nothing I've ever let go of that doesn't have my claw marks in it. Like, and the pain is actually not in the letting go. It is the like holding on tight. And sometimes it takes me time to even, what I hear when you share about this person in your class is like, it's sometimes what I need is to get enough into my body to even know what is the thing I'm holding so tightly to. Okay. We close the podcast with 2 questions. If you could pick any age, it can be recent, it can be really old, really, any age, what do you want to say to yourself?
Like as soon as you said any age, like I'm like 16. Like
Great.
It's just, that's like what came through. And I'm like noticing I'm having like some sensation right now. And like 15, 16-year-old me, what teenage girl is not carrying a lot? Like one of my favorite memes is like, she was right to be angry about everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I just would like offer her a couple words of wisdom that I'm still like integrating into myself, which are, there's nothing wrong with you. This isn't your responsibility to fix. And there are ways to feel more comfortable in your body than seeking out harmful behaviors. I'll just leave it at that.
Great. Love it.
Yeah.
And then what party are you heading to? I'll give an example. So like I think I'm heading to a pretty romantic party soon. I think that like I'm heading to like a really open-hearted, really sexy, really cool, really playful, like really, really fun.
She's ready.
Party soon. That feels weird to say.
Yeah.
But I think that's like, so that's a party.
It's scary to admit what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know? And like if people, there's, we've been told all these things about like, oh, people know what we want, they can take it from us.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah, or again, to go back to like, I feel embarrassed to say, but I don't actually, that's not true. I don't feel embarrassed to say that one at all. I'm like, it just feels kind of true. I think I feel I'm like, oh, if you say it out loud, then it won't happen. But I'm like,
yeah.
So that's a party I'm heading to?
Yeah. I feel like I'm headed towards a party that I'm hosting. Like, I feel like I'm ready to be the host of a party. And like, maybe I don't have like the finest china to put out right now. Or like, maybe I'm like learning some of the like nicer ways of like the art of hosting. But I'm like trying, and I'm like ready to be seen trying for my first party that I'm hosting.
I love that.
Which like where that really comes from is behind the scenes. I'm like working on building an online group program. Like I love in-person work. I'm comfortable in in-person work. Doing extended group work online, kind of, there's something about that like is a little, I'm experiencing some contraction around it, but it's what I really, really want. And creating this resourcing group for female leaders and creatives, that's the majority of my clientele, that brings in both like, you know, the science of working with the nervous system, beautiful like self-inquiry and embodiment work, and also some of the nutrition pieces. Like, this is where I'm finding that like the nutrition is going to fit in, you know, but it's like this, it's not about the thing that people are working on. I trust that they're working on it, or they're not, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like building this strong scaffolding to surround it, so that like as they work towards what they want, as they achieve what they want, they're not like suddenly being thrown into burnout, and that they can continue growing and scaling and expanding, and they have this like deep well of resources, and it's not just like this like one trick pony or like one time thing that had happened and then it destroyed them and they can't keep going. Yeah.
Obsessed.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm signing up.
Yeah.
I'll be at the party.
TBD.
Dude, I love you so much. Who knows what we just talked about?
Not a clue.
A true journey.
And it was amazing. Yeah, as it always is.
I mean, as it all. Welcome to hanging out with me and Mollie.
Your presence in my life has changed my life for the better. I'm so grateful that we reconnected, and in many ways it feels fated. Like, of course we were meant to. Like, we're supposed to journey together.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that we got to see each other in different iterations, and that we will continue to.
It's such a gift.
You're so good at what you do, and
thanks.
It's a joy to be loved by you and to be coached by you too.
Oh, I love you. Thank you for being such a critical support and like reminder, as I've done lots of new crazy things, that it's exactly what I should be doing. So
yeah, it's so good.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, it's Sophie. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Late to the Party. Truly getting to have these conversations and share them with you is such a gift. If something in today's episode resonated, I'd love if you followed the show, left a review, or sent it to a friend who might enjoy it too. That's genuinely how this little thing grows, and I'm so grateful you're here. New episodes drop every other Wednesday. You can find me on socials at @SoForGear, and you can follow the show at @LateToTheParty_pod. A huge thank you to the people who make this show possible. Nikki Stein, my brilliant editor, Nick Murphy, my cousin and honorary producer, branding by Lucy Anderson, also my cousin, photos by my dear friend Olivia Pierce, with creative direction by Annie Steele, who happens to be my sister-in-law. This is very much a family affair. I appreciate you being here more than you know. Until next time, you're not late, you're right on time.